Shelby is back here to, I hope I didn't frustrate anyone for talking for 7 minutes in my last video and not getting to the point, so I figured I kind of needed some of that backstory. Just in case you weren't watching my last video, found out my husband had extremely low sperm count and that we'd need to do extreme measures, either a sperm donor or in vitro, and just kind of some of the things we've learned about in vitro since then. So I've had all the tests done on me, and according to reproductive organs, everything is good on my end, so we're very fortunate on that. As you can see, I'm a little plump, so that doesn't exactly help trying to get pregnant. Trying to work on that. We had Chinese food tonight, so I don't know how well I'm doing. But anyways, in the last video I said I would tell you guys more about our doctor's appointment. So he set us down, he told me exactly what would happen. We're planning, today is January 14th, 2013, and we are planning on being part of the March-April cycle at our clinic, our local clinic, and they do like 5 cycles a year, and they kind of get you on their schedule, kind of just to get everyone through the rotation. So I was supposed to call the nurse with my next period, once I start my next period, and they were going to put me on birth control. And then I stay on birth control for about a month, and then they start shooting me full of hormones. I'll be on a couple different shots and pills, and I did ask, what side effects should I expect and things like that, and he told me really none, which I was surprised with, because even when I'm like PMSing, I can feel a difference. So we'll see if that's true, or maybe if it's like all in my head. But my mom and husband were in the appointment, and they were like, "See, Shelby, you can't use that as an excuse to act like a psycho." So so I'll be on that for like 3 weeks, and then to mature lots of egg follicles out of both sides of both ovaries. They're hoping to get 16 to 20 eggs out of all those, and that we were told would cost roughly $9,000. Keep in mind I'm in kind of one of the Midwest states. And that included all the doctor's visits. They said during all those shots and pills for those 3 weeks, I would be going to the clinic like every other day and having an exam and having blood work done to make sure that my hormone levels were good, and that I hadn't ovulated. It was doing everything it was supposed to do, because if I ovulate, it's all kind of, you don't want to ovulate. They want to get in there when the eggs are at their peak right before ovulation. So they'll monitor me, and then when they get to the point where they're good and mature, they go in through the vaginal canal into your cervix, and then they use a needle and they stuck it into your ovaries. He said it's really not that far. The ovaries are very close to the vagina. I didn't know that. So and they kind of just suck them out like a vacuum. I know that's kind of graphic, but and like he said, they just hope to get 8 to 10 out of each ovary. So, and then they move on to the other one. So at that point, they take them and put them in petri dishes, and they do one of two things once they get the eggs out of you. By the way, they told me this would be a 15 to 20 minute procedure. They would give me stuff to knock me out and sedate me, the stuff they gave Michael Jackson that killed him, but obviously his was abused. And they said they do one of two things. Either they'll just take sperm and dump it on all the eggs, or they will hold one of the eggs with slight suction and use a hollow needle and stick the needle in the egg and fertilize it that way. So we're not a candidate for just dropping a whole bunch of sperm on the eggs. They still don't think it will take, because the eggs don't swim in a straight line. They don't seem to the sperm don't seem to know where they're going. So just because it's such a low count. And that's called ICSI or ISCI. I always do the acronym the wrong way. But that's an additional $1,200. So just for all the doctor's visits, the procedure, and then to insert sperm in each egg is $10,200. I was also told that my prescriptions, depending on how much is covered by my insurance, which I don't know yet if any of it is, they're trying to look into that for me, is about $3,000 to $5,000. So we're looking at anywhere from, $13,500, $13,200 to about $15,200, just to kind of get things rolling. Now, out of all those eggs, because of my age and the fact that I do not have any reproductive challenges, he actually, my doctor only wants to put one fertilized embryo back in me. And I'm kind of like, I'd rather have like 2 or 3 to increase my odds. But he said that with one embryo or egg, fertilized egg, whatever word, I don't use the right lingo, so please don't quote me with the lingo, but with one fertilized egg inserted, at my age, my chances are about 60% of that attaching to my uterine wall and continuing to grow. Now, it'll grow in a petri dish for 5 days, so technically I would be about 3 weeks pregnant before the eggs were even in my body, which is kind of bizarre. But but with a 5% chance of it splitting and becoming identical twins. Now, if they put 2 eggs in there, it only increases my odds like 3 or 4% of conceiving, but it increases your odds of having fraternal twins, so both of them taking from 5 or 3 to 60%. So the pros and cons of it is that, you would end up with twins more than, if you're gonna conceive, you would definitely have the twins kind of thing. And with my age, and if I was older, we probably have a more aggressive route. But because I'm younger and I have time to have kids spread out, it's easier on your body, it's easier on your budget, it's easier on everything. So I agreed to that. Any other eggs that are fertilized, we will freeze. They'll be cryo-frozen. So, and that's at a cost of $1,000 a year to freeze them and store them. It's pretty amazing, though. It freezes them in the exact moment of their development. And then we can unfreeze them 5 years from then, and they would pick up right where they left off. So that's really incredible to me. And let's say we had a baby now, we wanted to wait a couple years, I could get pregnant again at 33, and it would be 28-year-old eggs, 28-year-old fertilized eggs, and everyone knows the younger the egg, the better. So that's really interesting. So just to sum up the cost one more time, all the procedure, everything is $9,000 plus the $1,200 for the ICSI, and they want that up front. They said they will turn it into insurance, and my insurance may pay for the sonograms and some other kind of procedures, but you have to kind of wait for that money to come back to you, and those are minor amounts compared to $10,000. Freezing will be $1,000 a year, which more than likely we'll need to do because I'll produce enough eggs. Being my age, I'm very fortunate for that. And then the drugs will be $3,000 to $5,000. So that's the one variable that I don't know about. So hopefully I explained the process. I'm on the drugs for 3 weeks. Then they go and do the procedure. Sorry to backtrack, but once they fertilize all of them, some eggs just don't take, even if they're fertilized. And this happens in all pregnancies. So it's kind of like I have 20 pregnancies in a petri dish. And some will just stop dividing, some won't ever grow. It's a very natural thing that happens. So out of those 20 or 16, they hope that half get fertilized properly. and then they would only take one. So then they'd throw, let's say they got 20, and 10 look perfect. We throw away the bad 10, and they put one in me, and freeze the rest. Now I also asked, let's say this doesn't take, how much does it cost to unfreeze one of my already fertilized eggs and put that in? And that was at a cost of $1,700. So because of my age and the fact that they'll be able to hopefully get a lot of eggs, I'm fortunate in that aspect, because it's not like, not to quote a lame pun, but I won't be putting all my eggs in one basket, because in older women, they're lucky to maybe get 2 or 3 eggs in one surgical procedure, and with me, and then they put them all in, and that's their one shot, and if they don't take, they gotta go through all that again. So hopefully I'll only have to do it once, and I get a baby, I get maybe 2 babies in the period of 4, 5, 6 years out of that. So that's what we're hoping for. So I rambled on long enough. Please don't hesitate to ask any questions, and I'll keep you posted on what happens next. So my husband and I are very excited to start this chapter in our life. I know I seem young, but I'm really ready to be a mom and experience that, and just kind of has got to take a couple extra steps to get there. So it's been hard, but I think it'll be worth it. So thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.